sehr gut. Sie fühlen gut. Hallo. Ich heiße Manny CA. Sorry. Let me get out of my German. Whew. And that's right. We're going to be shooting, showing, and loading for the Luger today. Wow. Holy cow. Original all-matching Luger. Join us. Stay tuned. Again, we're out here just having some fun. Remember, black pop. Scratch. You see these scratch marks right here? Perhaps no other firearm in history has been associated with an evil empire as much as the Luger P08. The word itself conjures up stiff uniformed Germans, marching lockstep in old war footage, people on their knees being similarly shot, or tales of the Einsatzgruppen SS Death Squad members being issued their own pistol, 2 magazines, and full holsters as they rampaged, unchecked through the European continent, playing judge, jury, and ultimately executioner. Maybe it's because these guns have been involved in one of the greatest conflicts in the modern era, abundant with photos, videos, documentaries full of first-hand experiences, opening old wounds and reinvigorating fresh debate by certain political parties. With 2 world wars under their belt, and let's face it, both times on the sides of evil, it's become a symbol of power both for its owners and liberators, with many American soldiers risking their lives just to bring this war trophy home. In other words, history in the palm of your hand. Now, that is very hypnotic indeed. Hey folks, Manny CA here with another educational, informational, and hopefully entertaining video on firearms maintenance, repair, design. How to keep your baby going, fed, and happy. This time we're looking at the German P08 Luger. Holy cow. We've got a couple of beauties here on the table. We've got one from 1914, World War I model. Very beautiful. Think of the history this thing has seen. And we've got a World War II model. Very nice. Very interesting story on this. You know, in the dark days of World War II, the precursor of the Navy SEALs, known then as the Naval Combat Demolition Units, were scouting out one of the potential 4 sites, to be used in the D-Day invasion. They were sent to the northern coast of France in what's known as the Pas-de-Calais region, doing a night recon along that coastline, looking for potential landing sites for D-Day. Kind of cool. These guys were the first frogmen, if you can, think about that. Pretty cool. They swam ashore and they encountered a Nazi officer during their recon, smoking, walking along the beach. One member of the team, using his Fairbairn Sykes fighting knife, and we'll show you a picture of that knife, dispatched the officer during the search. They came up with this Luger. He was relieved from it. He wasn't going to need it anyway, they said, as the story was recalled to me. Now, just because these guns have been around for such a long time, there are a ton of reference material on them. I mean, so much so it would make your head spin. Books wise, we've got our static book, the Luger pistol, and highly recommended, especially if you guys have more than one. Lots of great info on here. It goes through the history of the gun, the development, and it's got some really, really cool pictures. Check that out. Oh yeah, the original diagrams, plus Luger, George Luger, or as they pronounce it in German, Georg Georg Luger and his father. Very cool. And most of them are holding Lugers. So lots. This is certainly not the only book out there. They've got another one, you know, it's called Lugers at Random. Really cool, by a guy named Kenyon. Right? That whole toggle design right there. That was first seen on the Maxim gun. And, you know, the Borchardt, another gun that had the same design. Maxim was an American who couldn't sell his guns in the US, so he went to Europe. Pretty funny, huh? Lots of different variations of these Lugers you'll see out here. I mean, they've got some that are carbines, some that are, you know, 6, 8-inch barrels on them. Really, really cool pieces, but they're pricey. So, you know, you gotta really be on the lookout and know what you're looking at. Plus, there's a lot of fakes out there. It's a striker-fired gun. The first striker-fired. You thought Glock was innovative? This one is striker-fired. You'll see when we break it down and we go into it and we take it apart. You'll see what we're talking about. Now, the way these guns are designed, I will not advise anybody to do a trigger job on this gun. It just makes the gun inherently unstable. So that's my thoughts. You guys could do, like I said, you could do whatever you want, but I would not do a trigger job on this gun. Now, if you look at these magazines, I'm not going to disassemble them, and I'll tell you why. If you look right here, it looks like somebody had already done this one, but these are usually staked in and roll punched, which means they are a pain to get out. But you can see here where it looks like on this side over here, somebody had tried to remove it and they kind of dinged it up a bit. But if you want to remove your magazines, this will come out. I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to tell you. That'll come out. The bottom plate will come out. Your spring will come out. And then you want to bring your follower down to this hole right here where you're going to use a punch to punch out the follower. And then you can completely disassemble the mag. Although, unless this thing is really gunked up, I know they're hard to find. The original mags are very difficult to find without a gun. I really don't recommend it. Well, what we're going to do now is go through and do a complete disassembly of the Luger P08. A lot of guys hold this back like this, just slightly. Rotate your lever down. Pop off your side plate. Then you can take it, and I like to do it upside down. Slides right off. And you could see there's the upper from the lower. Put the lower to the side. For the moment, we'll focus on the upper. Now, on your side plate right here, you can disassemble this, and we're not going to do it because this thing is really tough, by taking this spring right here, and that's a spring, and you're going to want to rotate that spring this way. By putting something in here, it kind of just rotates over and out, but this thing is so tough and it's been in there so long that it doesn't want to budge, so we're not doing it. But you would rotate this out, the pin would fall off, and the lever here will come right out for a detailed cleaning. Put that over there. And when I disassemble this, you're going to want to go and put everything from an order. I'm going to go left to right, how we take everything off. Next, we're going to come and we're going to take the bolt off. For that, you're going to hit this bolt right here, this pin, slide that out, and your bolt come right off. Put the bolt to the side for the moment. We're going to focus on the upper. So now that you got your upper off, let me show you something here. Say you're out here and you're messing around and you did not clear your gun. All right, so you got this off, you got this pointed down range somewhere, or maybe pointed at you. This is the sear, right? Whoa, gun just went off. Oh yeah, that's very dangerous. It is imperative that you make sure that this gun is empty. Now some models have a sear safety which they put right in here. And you'll see it. It'll be a piece of stamped steel that comes through right here. And that makes sure that the sear will not fire when the side plate's off and the upper is off the lower. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to disassemble the sear. Now the sear is a two-part ditty. You'll see it right here. There's a spring right over here. You're going to take your screwdriver and we're going to lift up the sear and push forward. And what that's going to do is pop out your sear spring right there. Right there. You'll see there's a recess right in here where the sear sits. See that? Now some guys, they'll even go as far as disassembling the sear by knocking that pin out, but that pin is way too small and this thing moves pretty freely. We'll set the sear over to the side with the spring here. Alright, now we're going to remove the ejector. I wanted to get a little bit of a close-up so you guys can see how we do this. You take your little screwdriver right in here, pry it up, and as you're prying it up, you got to move it forward. Push it forward. And you can do that on the side because you'll see the way it is. There you go. Ejector will pop right out and you can see how it is. How it sits in there. This portion is pushing forward while this back portion will lock it into place. Right in there. Now you can say that this thing is fully stripped. Your upper is fully stripped. Do not attempt to remove the barrel. You need a special fitting. Otherwise you're just going to mash your upper up and it will be a mess. Alright, first thing you're going to want to do is remove your grips. And you always use a hollow ground screwdriver for that. And usually I like to tape my ends. A little bit of masking tape offers a little bit more protection for your screws. And we'll set those aside. Wow, look at that. You can still see the lacquer on the wood. Isn't that neat? They look, I want to say they're hardwood. Yeah, you can see the grain running in that. That's hardwood. Kind of push over from the side if they don't want to come out. Just be nice and gentle. There you go. Look at that. Really, really neat. Next thing we're going to do is remove your mag release right here. Now you'll see there's a spring, a flat spring right here that feeds into the recess. There's a recess cut into the magazine. I'm sorry, the magazine release. See that right there? You'll see it better when we take it out. And what you want to do is you're going to take your punch and you're going to want to push it this way. Keep it covered because it may kind of jut out on you. There's your magazine release spring. See, it's got a little notch on the top over here so you know which direction it goes. Set him aside and your magazine release should just drop through. Alright. Next we're going to remove the latch here, but the latch should just push right through. Yeah, this one you'll see the latch. there's a spring on the bottom right over here that's hammered into the frame. A little ring right there, and that is really tight. I'm not going to try to remove that. We're going to leave that the way it is. Next thing we're going to do is remove our trigger right there. And to remove the trigger, just kind of wiggle it up and down. Oh, as a note of caution, there's a spring, you'll see right where I'm pointing right there, a trigger spring right there. You don't want to ding that up. So remove it slowly. You kind of could just pull it through. You want to be mindful that your spring doesn't go flying. There you go. Trigger out. And here's our trigger spring, which sat right there. Let's get a close-up of that right in the back. Sat right in there. And you can see it's kind of got a little notch cut out on it on the bottom to help retain that spring right there. You see that? Right there. Put that right over there. Next, we're going to remove, this is the bolt lock. You see that? And to do that, you just take it and you kind of pull it out. You can see it's held on where there's a spring right there, flat spring holding it on right here. Well, there we go. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take it, you can see right here how it kind of lifts right out, right there. We're going to take that and we're just going to kind of pull it right to the back, and it comes right out, and you see what that looks like. It's two-part. You got a flat spring on top which is pressed in. I would not try to remove that unless it's broke and you need to, but and you can see where it's retained in its little slot in the frame right in here. Set him aside. Next thing what we're going to do is we're going to remove our safety, and the safety comes off by knocking a punch. And I don't know if you're going to see this, but inside the frame there is a little punch right there. You see that? Yeah, that right there. That shine. Wow, look how nice it is. It's lighting up for us. Beautiful. That's what we're going to hit. And you're going to drive it from the top of the frame down. I like having a sandbag handy. It kind of gives you something to work on. So, again, you got to take your punch, you're going to drive that out. There it is. There's your safety pin. Put that right there. And when that's done, your safety will lift right out. Okay? There's a safety. Two-part. Nope, this comes out the bottom. Push it right out, and you'll see there's a slot right here. And when we assemble it, I'll show you how that rides along the frame. You see that wearing on the frame right there? That wear is where your safety is going up and down on. That rides on the frame. So, take your safety, two-part safety with your pin, kind of keep everything all in one place. Now, the hard part, and this is the hard part, is going to be removing your frame spring, your mainspring frame, or I'm sorry, your mainspring right here. It's in the frame, it's mainspring frame, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to have to use a punch, and I use a punch, and also what I've got a vise I put this in. Put this in there, we're going to compress this spring, and then we're going to remove that latch right there. You see that latch that's holding it on? Let's see. Alright, so you can see what we did. Now it's loose. See? This was held down in there like so. Alright? Now, we're going to take and knock this pin out to remove our spring latch. There's our pin latch right there. Pin and our latch. This is what the spring, the main spring, holds on to. Now the biggest pain, well, besides putting it back in, is going to be to remove the spring here. And you can see here the frame has reinforcement over here. So obviously you've got to take it out from this side where it's open. And to do that, what I like to do is kind of just use my brass punch and I'll pry it out. But this thing will shoot out when you do that, so you're better off covering it up. There. Pop right out. Now you have a fully disassembled Luger frame. And you can get to cleaning this sucker now. Put our mainspring pieces to the side over here. Now what we got to do is disassemble this, the bolt. Now, do not, and I repeat, do not try to remove the hook from here unless you have to if it's broke, because these are staked in very, very tightly. Do not try to remove this pin from here because that's staked in very, very tightly, unless of course it's broken, you need to. And unless this one comes off easily, which they don't usually, do not attempt to remove these. So these three, 1, 2, 3, do not attempt to remove them unless it's a life or death situation and the gun is going to go out on you or it's busted on you, because these pieces are very difficult to remove. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to disassemble our bolt. Take out the firing pin. If you look on the back, you're going to see a little, looks like a screw, flat screw, but it's not. You take your screwdriver, you got to rotate, push it in, rotate 90 degrees, and it should come right out. There you go. You got your spring, your lock. Last but not least, pull out firing pin. And this is firing pin like the Glock's got. Isn't that neat? Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to disassemble our bolt. Take out the firing pin. If you look on the back, you're going to see a little, looks like a screw, flat screw, but it's not. You take your screwdriver, you got to rotate, push it in, rotate 90 degrees, and it should come right out. There you go. You got your spring, your lock. Last but not least, pull out firing pin. And this is firing pin like the Glock's got. Isn't that neat? Pretty cool. Very dirty too. My oh my, that is dirty. Next, it's going to be the extractor. You're going to have to use a pretty small punch because that's what you're looking for right there. That hole. And depending on how tight it is, you should be able to pull it out, push it out, or there we go. It's going to be under pressure. There's your extractor, and it'll lift right up. And you've got a spring beneath it, which you got to be careful. You don't want to lose her. Okay? I'll put these guys aside. You can see the geladen, the loaded chamber indicator on the extractor. Very neat, huh? And you thought Smith & Wesson came up with it. Remember, we're not gunsmiths here. We're enthusiasts. And all we're doing is showing you guys how to work on your gun. So there you have it. You have your completely broken down model P08. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to clean these up because these are nasty. I'm talking about nasty. Peter over here, he's going to help me clean them because my fingers are tore up. When we get done, we'll come back, we'll reassemble everything, we'll do a systems check. See what we're shooting here, 115 grain hand loads.
Alla periferia di nessun centro. Giova a me, giova a te, giova a tutti quelli che ci vogliono stare dentro. Alla periferia di nessun centro. Uno per il cesso, due per la cicogna, tre per il ruscello, quattro per la fogna. Io sono l'MC, il cerimoniere, sono la maîtresse, sono il pasticcere. Giova a me, giova a te, giova a tutti quelli che ci vogliono stare dentro. Alla periferia di nessun centro. Sono a metà strada nella selva oscura, uno per la tecnica, due per la natura. Cerco il mio vicino, morto di overdose, cerco la Beatrice, ma ho già le sue cose. Cica cica boom, una cicatrice, sembra un tatuaggio, sai che cosa dice? Dico tutto bene, quindi procediamo. Uno per il pesce, due per l'amo. Sono il pescatore, una volta pescato. Sono il peccatore, sono il peccato. Chi inventò il dubbio che gli spacco il culo? Si sta così bene quando si è al sicuro. Fascia sotto al sole, verità in tasca, come un pesce d'allevamento dentro una vasca. Crescere è un problema, disse il bonsai. Il baobab rispose, accontentati di quello che hai. Chissà perché, rispose il piccoletto. Sono sempre grandi a fare il pistolotto. Uno per il baobab, due per il bonsai, tre per chi sempre, quattro per chi mai. Giova a me, giova a te, giova a tutti quelli che ci vogliono stare dentro. Alla periferia di nessun centro. Cica cica boom, altra cicatrice, sembra un tatuaggio, sai che cosa dice? Fin qui tutto bene, quindi andiamo avanti. Uno per chi pochi, due per chi tanti. Date al diavolo un bimbo per cena. Uno, due, tre ragazzini. Date al diavolo un bimbo per cena. 10, 100, 1000 bambini. Luce stroboscopica, lampada di wood. Verbi regolari, understand, understood. Danze figurate, marce militari. Uno per la polvere, due per gli altari. Io sono una piazza, io sono una strada. Io sono il cavallo, io sono la diada. Io sono nessuno, tranne per qualcuno. E tra un pasto e l'altro per protesta digiuno. Onda dopo onda, cambia il mio contorno. Io sono la pizza, io sono il forno. Troppa pasta asciutta mi può strangolare. Troppa informazione mi fa ragionare. Troppa libertà mi ha fatto inceppare. Troppa verità mi ha fatto impazzire. Io sono Clark Kent, sono Superman. Ho superpoteri quando parte la jam. Il mondo è la mia casa, il cielo è il mio tetto. Ho perso le chiavi, sto qui fuori, aspetto. Guardo dentro al buco, pezzi di Nirvana. Fuggo da un eterno fine settimana. Uno per lo yoga, due per la scintilla, tre per l'antibiotico, quattro per vanilla. Giova a me, giova a te, giova a tutti quelli. Credo in solo Dio, padre onnipotente, creatore di chi crede e di chi non è credente. Niente più carezze, disse il bagnasciuga. Grattami la schiena, disse la tartaruga. Ho il mio cucchiaino io per travasare il mare. Fin qui tutto bene, posso continuare. Cicatrice, sembra un tatuaggio. Sai che cosa dice? Avanti, giova a me, giova a te, giova a tutti quelli che ci vogliono stare dentro. Alla periferia di nessun centro. Giova a me, giova a te, giova a tutti quelli che ci vogliono stare dentro. Alla periferia di nessun centro. Date al diavolo un bimbo per cena. 1, 2, 3 ragazzini. Date al diavolo un bimbo per cena. 10, 100, 1000 bambini. Voglio sentire tutti voi abitanti di Marte dire oh, oh.
back.
Catalogo di tutto ciò che esiste, le cose viste e quelle non viste. Il ritmo politico con voglia e movimenti, con solo di sostegno, se no di grigno denti. Io sono Pinocchio, mi si allunga il naso, sono come un'ana tra nuovi dentro il caso e prego non perché esiste ma perché esista. Se non vedi l'ora, vado l'oculista. Il mondo sta cambiando e questo non è mai cambiato. Guardami un secondo, sono ben vecchiato, plastica facciale, assicurazione, uno per il cuore, due per la ragione. Sole, luna, bionda e bruna, fila di cammelli davanti alla cruna. Tutti in paradiso, chi bene e chi male, solo certi ricchi in paradiso fiscale. Ciga ciga boom, ho una cicatrice, sembra un tatuaggio, sai che cosa dice? Il mondo è una domanda che aspetta una risposta. Ogni mondo è un divieto di sosta, l'equilibrio statico è un calcolo dinamico. Ecco sul coltello, cazzo non hai il manico, quindi stai attento che puoi farti male. Ho una conoscenza, dimmi quanto vale, sono un chiacchierone, santa inquisizione, giudicami eretico, mettimi in prigione. Martiri del rap, vivi per miracolo, come un cavallo io salto l'ostacolo, fino a che l'ostacolo si alza di me. In questo caso io incolperò te, sono un silicone, maschere di fango, fanno grande ombra all'albero di mango. Sono monogato, sono colonizzato, ma se ti avvicini puoi sentire il mio fiato. Tutta roba vera, pane companatico, sono calamita, zero elettrostatico. C'era Sgt. Pepper, io stavo nascendo, un capolavoro, sai che cosa intendo? Giova a me, giova a te, giova a tutti quelli che... Un giorno nella rete io ci ho incontrato un pesce, subito mi ha detto tu sai come pesce, io ho risposto no, forse lo sai tu, e ci siamo messi a guardare la TV. Chi conosce il mare lo sa rispettare, molti marinai non sanno nuotare. Chi conosce il ritmo sa che il tempo vola, va più veloce di una bollicina nella Coca-Cola. Se io fossi eletto già nel primo mese fonderei il ministero delle sorprese, tutte positive, naturalmente. È il tuo compleanno, improvvisamente, io sono l'ambasciatore di un posto migliore, sono il diplomatico del rumore, ministro delle poste e telecomunicazioni, buono tra i cattivi, cattivo tra i buoni. Ho una cicatrice, resta sempre aperta, come la legge di domande deserta. Dici tutto bene, non ti preoccupare, ma ti vedo strana e non so che fare. Uno per il letto.
One thing about the Lugers is that the front sight and the rear sights are a little bit off. You look at the rear sight, how small that is. That notch is tiny. Not really that great for getting quick acquisition. Front sight is okay. Another thing is the gun tends to point low because of that rear sight and how it's set up that high. Get on target, right? Don't move and close your eyes. Put the gun down. Now come back up on target. Open your eyes. And that gun is pointing low. That's just the nature of the beast and how these things were made. Something to think about if you guys are looking into these, or you shoot them for fun, or you're going to shoot somebody else's. Oh.
Rossi quando sono costantino di nome, uno per il cosa, due per il come. Abito in collina sulla Sugar Hill, vendo nelle vicine anche nella cica dice oggi tutto torna, apri quella porta, faccio le corta. Dionisi ed Apollo sono i miei cugini, Pico e Tabeta sono i miei bambini. Uno per la fama, due per la classifica, tre per la famiglia, quattro per la critica. E chi pensa a me? Penso io, date al diavolo figlio di Dio. Io sono le ossa, io sono la pelle, e delle stelle. Io sono un etrusco, sono americano, vado verso ovest con il cuore in mano. Il limbo è una danza, è un luogo di innocenti, è il fondale per fotografare tutte le cantanti. Mi batte il cuore forte, 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 forte. Esplode in me la vita, spalanca le sue porte. Ho una cicatrice, tu un tatuaggio. Sai che cosa dice? Hai avuto cura dell'incidente. Ma non hai detto che ti vada bene sempre. Uno per il sogno, due per il finire, tre per l'invenzione, quattro per lo stile. Guarda l'orizzonte, disse il capo indiano. Questo è il mio palazzo, disse il sultano. Io sono la zingara, leggo la tua mano. Oh mio cavaliere, portami lontano. Cuore della tenebra, mostrami l'orrore. Cuore della luce, mostrami l'amore.